ever left home in search of a new life, then you know it changes you. ¿Qué lo que mi gente? Bienvenidos a mi canal. Soy Shani. Toma asiento, hablamos. I lived abroad for nearly 4 years, and they were the most transformative years of my life thus far. Leaving everything familiar behind to start over in a new country is quite possibly one of the most audacious things you can do, especially if you're a solo traveler like me. The comfort of home keeps most people rooted, but for the few that are willing to embrace uncertainty, something powerful happens. It transcends just a move abroad into a complete metamorphosis of self. Today in this video, I'll be going over the 6 ways moving abroad rewires your brain and reshapes your identity. But before we get into that, I want to give you a brief recap of my personal journey abroad. Vamos.
My journey abroad.
In 2019, I left my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia in search of something new. I was California dreaming, so I hopped on a Delta flight headed to the West Coast, landing in the City of Angels, Los Angeles. I spent 2 years living in LA before the pandemic came and turned everything upside down. During the lockdown, on a whim, I decided I needed to get the heck out of LA, so I decided I'm going to move to Mexico. I chose the Caribbean shores of Playa del Carmen. I had never even been there before, but I heard great things about it, and that was good enough for me. I was loving my new life, so much so that I decided to make it official. I became a legal resident of Mexico. So after 2 years of frolicking in the sand and cosplaying a hippie, I was over it. I decided to move to the bustling capital of Mexico City. This mammoth metropolis of a city was magical. I loved everything about it. But life threw a curveball, and unfortunately I had to leave after a year and a half of living there. And I am now back in my hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. So now that you know my backstory, let's get into the 6 ways moving abroad rewires your brain chemistry.
Number 1, mental growth.
Living abroad pushes you out of your routines and mental boxes. Suddenly, you realize that there's more than one way to live a life, solve a problem, and define success. Your brain starts operating with more flexibility and creativity. When you stay in one environment too long, the mind can default to autopilot. The lack of challenges can create a glass ceiling that quietly caps your potential. Just like a muscle needs exercise to grow strong, your brain becomes sharp by constantly being challenged with new information and difficult tasks. I'll never forget my first week in Playa del Carmen. Something as simple as grocery shopping felt like the mental Olympics. Figuring out prices in pesos, navigating unfamiliar aisles, and asking for help in Spanish were all so very uncomfortable at first. But those weekly tasks are what challenged my brain to adapt quicker. And that's the beauty of living abroad. Each obstacle strengthened my ability to find creative solutions and to reframe discomfort as growth. I began to develop the mental endurance that transformed unfamiliar into second nature, and that's when I realized the mind has no limits.
Number 2, adaptability.
With mental growth comes adaptability. Living abroad forces you to keep an open mind because nothing around you works quite like it did back home. Adaptability teaches resilience, self-trust, and confidence that you can do hard things. You learn to expect the unexpected, from adjusting to new foods and customs to finding new community through communication. Each daily encounter nudges you out of your comfort zone. And yes, mistakes will happen, but instead of fearing them, over time you learn to embrace them. Each one empowers your integration and aid in your pivot. Living abroad stretches your limits. It's definitely no walk in the park, and it's not for the faint at heart, but you learn to roll with the punches. And when you do, you realize that adaptability isn't just a tool for travel, it's a necessary life skill in general.
Number 3, sharpen self-awareness.
Moving away from the familiar has a way of silencing the external noise. Without the constant influence of family, friends, and culture shaping your decisions, you're left with one voice, your own. You begin to trust your gut more, prioritize what actually makes you happy, and redefine your desires for your life. Living abroad gives you the space to Confront your weaknesses, question your beliefs, and also acknowledge your strengths. You develop renewed clarity in decision making and a sharpened sense of self. For me, this was one of the greatest gifts of living abroad. I developed an ironclad trust in myself. Back home, I would crowdsource every decision. But living in Mexico, I only had myself to rely on. And I began to realize that my gut never steered me in the wrong direction. That realization left me feeling more grounded and confident in my decision making. I wasn't just learning about the world around me, I was defining who I was in the process.
Number 4, broader worldview.
Exposure to new cultures chips away at prejudices and allows an appreciation for diversity. You start seeing the world as a beautiful mosaic of various cultures and perspectives. Instead of relying on the media or the people around you for a narrative to cling to, you're out experiencing life firsthand to create your own. You begin to foster empathy and a better understanding of global issues from more than one angle. At the same time, you gain a new lens on your own culture, its flaws, its uniqueness, because distance allows you to see it from a third-person point of view. Learning to express yourself across cultural boundaries forces you to listen better, observe more, and find common ground. Ultimately, broadening your worldview forces you to become a more evolved, more compassionate citizen of the world.
Number 5, renewed appreciation of home.
They say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and for me, it certainly did. The sights, the sounds, and the people from home that you once overlooked can suddenly become a source of comfort when returning from living abroad. For some, moving abroad can validate the old saying, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Returning home with a fresh perspective can spark growth in areas of your life that once felt stagnant. I never thought I would move back home. Honestly, truly, I'm still shocked I'm here, but returning to Atlanta after years abroad has been a completely different experience. The city has evolved, I've evolved, and I'm able to be a tourist in my hometown, soaking in everything new it has to offer while deeply appreciating how it's shaped me and its influence on the world. As someone who loves to travel, I cherish the fact that Atlanta is home to the world's busiest airport. I can literally hop on a one-way flight to anywhere on my bucket list. As a music lover, I am so proud to be from a city that has a thriving music scene and has contributed to countless genres of music. And as a Black woman, I am so grateful to live somewhere where representation is visible in every facet of life. Now, while I did feel that the grass was greener on the other side, I have developed a new appreciation for my hometown. I've realized that I don't have to choose between who I evolved into abroad and who I am back home. I can blend both experiences to have a balanced outlook. And in doing so, I've learned to navigate being back home in Atlanta with more grace and more gratitude than ever before.
Number 6, mastery of detachment.
Before leaving the US, I lived in LA in a beautiful, brand new 2-bedroom apartment with a huge walk-in closet full of items necessary for an ideal wardrobe. I had the clothes, the shoes, and every accessory under the sun to complete the look. But when I moved to Mexico, I put most of my belongings in storage. And I was paying a crazy expensive storage fee for items I wasn't even using anymore. And eventually, my storage rent increased. That's when I realized what I was paying wasn't even worth what I was storing. So I flew back to LA, gave away 90% of my belongings, and the remaining 10% I shipped to my mom in Atlanta. And the detachment didn't stop at things. I let go of friendships that no longer served me and made room for new relationships that make me feel seen and appreciated. I let go of unhealthy work-life habits. I let go of the need to control every outcome and learn to flow with life. And finally, I let go of the belief that things equal happiness. I realized that detachment isn't about loss, it's about freedom. This mindset shift has been a liberating lesson that I've carried home with me. Living abroad in Mexico taught me that it's not about how much you can accumulate. Life is to be experienced. Life is to be lived. My material possessions have only ever brought me fleeting happiness. But the places I've been and the people I've met have enriched my life in a far more profound way. I began to see material things for what they often are, baggage. There's this quote that has stuck with me, and it says, "The more you own, the more it owns you."
In conclusion,
To evolve is to grow, and I am grateful for the expansive mind that living abroad gifted me with. Those 3.5 years living in Mexico were the paradigm shift I didn't even know I needed. The challenges, the adventures, the breakthroughs all molded me into the best version of myself thus far. Living abroad taught me that I am capable of much more than my mind can even imagine, and the same is true for you. Life is an oyster waiting for you to find its pearls. Fortune favors the bold. If you've ever moved abroad or even left your hometown, I would love to know how that experience rewired you. I want the comments of this video to be a source of inspiration for anyone who's hesitant about taking that leap of faith. Let this video and its comments be confirmation to always bet on yourself. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like, share it with someone, and subscribe to my channel for more conversations like this. Thank you for taking time out of your day to support my channel. My gratitude runs deep. Until the next upload, peace.